we get excited about having a database and we're just going to send anything to the database, which is totally like the worst approach.
Hello and welcome to /Real Estate. I'm Chris and we are live in person with a returning guest now, Ricardo. We saw you just wandering around Austin, so we dragged you into the most famous studio on the internet.
Awesome.
And here we are.
Space is great. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well we're back with more tips for how to basically get more listings out of all of your existing stuff. So start walking me through what we're going to talk about today.
Well, I think everything in business is leverage.
Yeah.
We all want to get to an end result better, faster. We all want to grow our businesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the one thing we got to apply is leverage. So what we're going to talk about today is, how to turn your listings or how to leverage your listings so that one listing turns into 5.
All right. I like it. How to get more listings. A frequent question that agents are always asking.
Yep.
All right. Step 1, what do we do?
That old saying, what is it? Control the listings, control the market, or you have to list to last.
Okay.
Any number of those. I think the challenge is that a lot of us take the spray and pray approach. Get a new listing, put it on the MLS, hope to hell it sells fast.
Yeah.
And then you're on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And I think what that does is it builds a very transactional mindset, or you're operating from a very transactional mindset, and you're constantly stressing over where the next deal is going to come from.
Right.
What we're missing is the opportunity to apply leverage and, think about what would fundamentally change in your thought process. Like what if every new listing or how you marketed that listing would equal $100,000 extra dollars in commissions and future commissions? How would you think about your marketing if you knew that every listing was going to, generate that much in future commissions? You would fundamentally do everything you can to market and leverage that listing differently.
Right. Okay, so, this is resonating for me a little bit as a marketing guy, right? Because a lot of times we have the saying that's like, your best next customer looks a lot like your last customer, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So walk me through, what people need to start thinking about, like what's the mindset, what are the actions to make this a reality?
Well, having a listing is the best megaphone that you're going to have in a market. Having your sign out there, having multiple signs out there, that's going to create new buyer opportunities, right? You're going to get sign calls. You're going to be able to advertise that listing on social media, generate more buyer leads. You're going to be able to host open houses, meet potential buyers, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a fan of running Facebook lead ads on your listings.
Yep.
Something you guys do really well with your clients.
Yep. We got a whole thing, listing boost. You guys can look it up.
It's also going to, again, recognition. So having more yard signs builds trust with the local consumer. It's also an opportunity and excuse for you to go out and meet other potential people in the neighborhood through door knocking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So are you doing each of those things fundamentally to exponentially increase your marketing potential?
Right, sort of like making it into a flywheel, so it's like a little bit more presence, be the IRL marketing, the
Correct.
The social media, all of it. Okay, all right.
And then the opposite of what did I say earlier? It's the spray and pray marketing. Put it on the MLS, hope it sells. What are you doing to tell a story with that listing? Are you recording like a behind the scenes walkthrough of the property? Are you posting reels? Are you leveraging social, et cetera, et cetera?
Let's hang out on this for a second because you and I were at the same conference last week.
Yep.
And one of the things that really resonated for me was what is the story of this listing? And furthermore, I think there's another theme that people are going to start seeing on this podcast, which is like, how are you different?
Yep.
Right. That really
differentiation is
differentiation. Yeah. Right. One of my favorite books from college, Differentiate or Die. Right. You don't need to read any more than the title.
That's awesome.
I suggest that you read the entire book, but the title will get you there. Right. So going back to what you were just saying, though, it's like, what does that listing say? Right. Did you just stick it on the MLS, or like, have you had any time to think about like ways that agents can start to tell that listing story? Either through photos or through that social media or through the, so that the listing stands out as not just like another like house in a sea of things that you're swiping past?
My advice is, Tom Ferry says this a lot, R&D, rip off and duplicate. So follow some of your favorite creators, follow some of the best creators, people that are doing unique things until you find, and R&D their process, till you find a process that works for you.
So, okay, I want to fight with you. I want to fight. Right? Because I think that's true, right? So, okay. So as a content creator, I do think that the first step should be duplicating, right? Rip off and duplicate, right? But I just am so skeptical that you're going to find any level of success until you found that magic kernel that is you.
Oh, no.
Right?
I'm definitely not saying just do what he's doing.
Right.
Don't do that. Do it until you, like, add your flavor profile to it. Because if you don't, it's just going to suck.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean...
You have to find your own favorite profile. But to start, you have to experiment with different things to find what's comfortable for you.
Right.
And then get comfortable with just being you.
Yeah.
I think that's the money right there.
I think one of the other things I was really thinking about as I was listening to the speakers talk about, is their brokerage telling a story or is the listing telling a story, is what frameworks you could use to tell a story. And I'm a big fan of the Story Brand framework.
That's awesome.
And so people should Google it, and we'll probably put links down below. But, very straightforward.
Amazon list of all these books.
Right, yeah, exactly. All that stuff down below in the description. But the key thing for people to think about in the Story Brand framework is the main character is the client. It's not you. And so there's so much real estate social media that I watch where it's like, here's me in this listing. And it's like, well, yeah, I don't like, you look great. Like, you look great.
Now's a great time to buy and sell. I'm amazing.
Right,
blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. But what is my life going to be like inside that home? Right. And so when I think about, like, does the listing tell a story? I'm like, those are the sorts of things I'm thinking about. Or like, what is it like to work with you?
Yep.
Like what are the stories that you can tell that make me empathize or visualize, being in that situation?
How you present yourself online. I always talk about it before, having a good website, having a good brand presence, having a good email cadence. Every time you get permission to be in someone's inbox.
Yep.
All the content that you create, whether it's on a website, whether it's in an email, etc., you're building your know, like, and trust factor with people. The content that you post on social, you're building your know, like, and trust factor with people.
Okay, so I think I want to steer us back towards, multiplying your listings, right? You painted a picture of like, okay, you've got one listing and you've done some door knocking, you've done some social media, you've done, all these things. Like, what are the next steps? I want someone when they ask ChatGPT for the summary of this episode, to just like a crisp, set of bullet points of things they need to do.
Like, what are you doing beyond the listing to increase your repeat and referral process? Are you getting testimonials at the peak of your interaction with that customer? So you should have a drip campaign to go out or request the testimonial. Like, hey, thank you for letting us represent you on the sale of your home. Would you mind taking a moment to leave a review to help you? Because most people get stuck. You ask for a Yelp review. You ask for whatever. We get stuck because we don't know what to say.
Right.
So you got to spoon feed people what you want them to say. You might ask for a review and say, to help you, here are some words of why previous clients chose to work with us. Like, I chose to work with Ricardo because he absolutely knew the Costa Mesa market, and I felt confident in the process. Or I chose to work with Chris because he was super responsive. We were first-time buyers, blah, 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 blah. Or, any number of things. Spoon feed people what you want them to say. And then I think you sort of said this earlier, but once we close a transaction with somebody, we move on to the next and, like, that's done. What are you doing to follow up with that customer and create a flywheel?
Yeah.
So that it's like, conventionally, we look at a funnel, leads come in, they pour out, and that's it. What are you doing to create like a repeatable flywheel? So that person, you delivered an awesome experience, your brand promise or whatever. You saw them all the way through to close, and then are you constantly keeping in touch with them? My favorite follow-up systems, you could use any number of things, but Like Real Scout has a great follow-up. HomeBot was one of my personal favorites, has a great follow-up cadence. And then what are you doing to generate or to set yourself up for success so that you're requesting more referral business from those customers?
Okay, so let's dig into this a little bit more, because I think this is a good sort of like technical nitty gritty marketing thing, right? You know, there's definitely a lot of technology that does workflow automation for real estate agents, real geeks. But like, what is it about? I mean, because with any of those things, you can use an off the shelf, you know, thing from the library and it might work okay. or you could, you know, customize something and it works amazing, you know, or you could totally mess something up and it doesn't work. Like, what do you think are the things that make these flows work? Well, let me answer you that first, and then I want to come back to like, how do you get at that? Because I think that's going to be a moving target. So
for me, my process or my brain thinks very automate.
Yes. Yeah.
Automate all the things. I think we get very overwhelmed with the very specific, specifically, what should I use? Should I use this for this? And then that leads to decision fatigue because you're overthinking way too many things. I think we overthink the tech, if that makes sense. For me, what should be important is the words, the copy, the flow.
Yeah. Yep.
What flow are you putting them on? What are your words communicating? Spend time there and leverage the heck out of ChatGPT, by the way. The stuff we can do now with ChatGPT is amazing. It shortens our time. Like, it used to take me forever to put words on a page. Now it's like this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hang out here for a second because, again, I've got thoughts. I think I totally agree with you. And, you know, actually, producer Sean and I, who's sitting over here, everyone, and you can't see him. He waved. He says hi, everyone. So we have ongoing discussions about, like, is AI adding value, or is it producing AI slop that no one wants?
It's very easy to produce slop.
It's very easy to produce slop. And I think, yes, both of these things are true. There are some people that are using it to great effect, and then there's other emails that you get there's like, so the slop train arrived. You didn't do anything. And so let's spend a few minutes.
We can tell, by the way.
We can tell. Yeah, exactly. If you look at your emails, we can tell. Right? So let's talk about how to avoid the slop train.
Because it's like it's hyphens in your copy.
In conclusion.
Yeah.
When was the last time you said in conclusion in a serious written?
It says, I hope you're well as a starter, and it has green emojis and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, like Chris and Ricardo's top tips for getting AI to work properly for you. I like having a collection of things that you think are good, right? As well as your own writing. And you feed those things in. And you're like
100% that.
Yeah, you're like, I like these things. I also ban words. Right. I did the ChatGPT tell me about myself.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the things that it said, it's like closing word was like, and you'll murder me if I say in conclusion. I was like, accurate.
Did you do the based on our previous chats, roast me?
I haven't done it.
You should try that one.
Yeah, it would only have to change a few words because I'm not usually very nice to ChatGPT. When the robots take over, I'm a goner.
In my previous role at Follow Boss, I used to track all my writing. So previous roles, I was at Diverse Solutions. I wrote all of our blog content. So I wrote a daily blog. I had my own personal blog. I wrote newsletters. I used to track these all in a Moleskine journal.
Okay.
I wrote like 600,000 words one year, another 500,000 the year before. Like,
wait, so you're tracking like?
I was tracking words just because I wanted to know what my word count was. I was blogging every day. I wanted to know.
Okay, so what are you writing in the journal? Like, today I wrote a blog post on blank X number of words.
Oh, I just counted the word count, like WordPress or whatever.
That's
and
crazy.
It was just
I
was just curious.
Yeah.
I felt like I practiced my writing muscle.
Yeah.
I exercised my writing muscle.
Ricardo GPT.
Yeah. And then I went through this phase of like, I think I got burned out, and it was just harder and harder and harder to write. How many different ways? It's hard when you're selling IDX. How many different ways can you uniquely talk about IDX? Or like Cloud CMA, how many different unique ways can you talk about CMA reports? it was a good exercise, good challenge. At Follow Up Boss, I wrote speeches, and I had friends who helped me like extrapolate and tell better stories into the speech.
Yep.
I took all
Are these
those.
speeches for other people to give, or were these
No,
speeches
for
you
me.
were giving?
For
Yep.
me, like to keynote and
Right,
open
okay.
FubCon.
Yep.
Or we did a customer appreciation event, so I wrote a speech for that. So these were all handwritten speeches, not ChatGPT, but I loaded those speeches into ChatGPT. This is the style of voice and tone that I want to use for future newsletters
Yes.
and
Yeah.
for future everything.
Yeah, we have a client who's very involved in the Real Geeks User Summit, Real Growth Summit, and as he and I were talking like very early in the birth of AI, that was one of the use cases that he did. He's like, I've spent years writing, and so I loaded all that into the AI and then said, okay, write a blog post on X topic in my voice, right? And he's like, it's surprising how accurate it was, right? It's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so someone said to me the other day, hey, that was a really good piece you wrote. I was like, it was ChatGPT. It's like, yeah, but it's still you.
Right.
Like,
right. Yeah. I think this is another top tip or whatever is like keeping humans in the loop. So it does have to be you. And so there's probably two things that I would say need to come together. The AI can do a lot of the writing, but it'll be soulless or not carry the thought unless you gave it the thought, right? So one of the things I've been experimenting with is, can I record my thoughts and then put that in with sort of the standards that I'm expecting and get a written work out that has basically just already had the fine tuning done to it or only needs like a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you sort of go from, hey, this is the shower thought, to this is like an 80% finished work, in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, we used to run a lot of Facebook lead ads.
Yeah.
A lot I was partnered with the lender. We would run ads for all of our agents.
Yep.
That they had in the HomeBot. These were all Facebook lead ads. For some, it was people that might be looking to downgrade. So 60 plus 2-story home, looking to downgrade to a single-story home.
Yep.
Stuff like that. We used to battle test our drip campaigns. So first email, it was like, hey, Chris, this is Ricardo. I'm the agent that's listing 123 Main Street. It really is a great home, but great for one person. Might not be great for every person. Would you like to see a list of homes similar to 123 Main Street? If so, hit reply, let me know.
Right.
Then we sent another one, like 2 days later, if we got no response, and it was like, not yet, ? Hey, Chris, maybe 123 Main Street isn't a good fit for you. So can you tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for? We're trying to elicit a response. Are you looking for like an awesome swimming pool for those hot summer barbecues? Are you looking for, how many beds are you looking for? How many baths, et cetera, et cetera. And then the third one was my favorite, was not yet or something else, because the not yet was used before, but it was, hey, Chris, I'll take your not responding as a sort of back off signal. I totally get it. Right now may not be the right time to buy for you. So can you tell me a little bit? Or I just want you to know that whether you're looking to buy in 2 months, 6 months, or 2 years, my team and I are always here to help. Creating that stuff was hard. And then we would constantly monitor open rates. Imagine what you could do now with ChatGPT if you're stuck on how to create your drip campaigns.
Okay, so I want to drill into this because I think in our last podcast, which everyone should go. I was actually listening to it on the way down here. We talked a little bit about this, and I think you gave the overview of that sequence. I think my question for you is exactly what you just said. It was hard to create that. So what were you... Like, you probably sent a million different variations before you landed on what you just said. So, like, I maybe lay out for the audience, what are you looking at? You looking at open rates, click-through rates? Like, are you looking at, responses that you get?
Looking at open rates and responses.
Yeah. Okay.
Click rates, we didn't have any links to click in those emails.
Right.
All we were trying to do, the challenge is a couple of challenges. Any online lead, we call online leads button pushers and form fillers.
Yeah.
They're registering on your website and a million other websites.
Yeah.
So your biggest challenge is it's easy to assume, oh, this is a bad lead. It's very easy to assume that. You're getting no response. You're getting no you're getting no feedback. So I think it's important that you're following up quickly, sure, on every single lead, because speed to lead matters. Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Second is consistency and repetition. We're too quick to give up. So in those emails, no doesn't mean no explicitly. It means not right now, and there's a reason. And there's a wall.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to break down is that wall. And I'm not going to get you to commit yes or no. Will you help me buy or sell? I'm trying to elicit it. I'm trying to elicit feedback by asking you different questions that might elicit a response.
You know, I think a lot of times people think about online marketing as like, well, I sent the email and they haven't closed on a house, right? And there's
No.
like a lot of steps in between,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, maybe again, walk us through like the mindset of the analyst, Ricardo the analyst, sitting there looking at that email going like, okay, hang on, the open rate was right and I got the response I wanted. They moved to the next step. Like what was the what were the little tip-offs that you're like, this is working, or I need to rewrite this?
We were getting 30% plus, like higher than 30% open rates on that last email.
Yeah. Is there a magic number, or do people need to compare this to themselves?
You need to compare it to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a bench press PR. You're looking for the next high number, right?
I average, I think, on my email newsletter, like a 46% open rate.
Yeah.
It was higher before. Now I look at that open rate, and that's my sort of barometer for success.
Right.
Is this stuff resonating? Do I need to improve it? What's going on? But I think you need to figure out what your benchmark is.
Yeah. Yeah. On the last episode, this is a follow-up question from the last episode. So again, you guys need to go watch it. But you had said that you do some list hygiene work, and you like throw
Always
out people.
clean up your database.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Which, you know, again, I think maybe let's like drill into what metrics people are really should be looking at, because, you know, there is definitely the type of person that's like, I sent this gross number of emails and I got this gross number of clicks, right? But there's more going on in the story there. Like, can you help us out?
What I was looking for, let's say it was a real estate website. The challenge is you might get somebody that comes to your website, looks at a ton of listings, and then they ghost.
Right.
I don't know. That tells me this person's maybe dipping their toe into the water, but they're nowhere near making a purchase decision anytime soon. If I consistently keep dripping market reports, whatever, 6 months down the line, I see that they're casually looking at listings, casually starting to favorite properties. That activity tells me what? This person's newly re-engaged and it's probably a warm lead. I should follow up. If I have somebody on, like the HomeBot report is a perfect example. You can see whether or not people are opening and looking at the market reports. You can see whether or not people are opening and looking at their home values. The more they look at those things, the more that's an indicator for me that this person is a hot prospect I should follow up. So that's the same activity you should be looking at in your email. Are they opening your emails? One, are they clicking through to your website and looking at listings? Two, and then you prioritize your follow-up with those leads accordingly.
Do you look at your CRM and struggle to identify who to prioritize? Real Geeks has you covered with our new Lead Feed. The Lead Feed provides a centralized mission control, a clear, actionable view of prioritized leads. By surfacing leads in 4 intuitive categories, the Lead Feed empowers agents to take immediate action and manage their pipelines effectively. Streamline your workflow with Real Geeks.
The perfect example of somebody that was leveraging the listings, and we're talking about him on the webinar, and I think I talked about him on the last one, was his agent, Ray Fernandez. He would always have like a 3-part strategy for generating more seller leads and then multiplying his efforts or leveraging his efforts. Anytime he got a new listing, he would do a direct mail piece to homeowners within the immediate proximity of that listing. Right. And listing details on the front, social proof on the back. Here's how we help 200 other or 100 other homeowners, find their way home. And there would be a CTA on the side of it that said, want to know what your home is worth? Visit raisehomevalues.com. Then he would very specifically door knock between him and his agents, the homes within the immediate proximity. And then running, like I said, Facebook lead ads to promote the listing.
Right.
and retargeting ads, people on his website. And it was just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. That to me is a perfect way to leverage that listing opportunity, create new opportunity, et cetera.
Right. Let's hang out on the mailer for a second because I wanted to ask this question earlier, and I think it's kind of like important, right? Because he had listing details from that listing in the neighborhood on the one side and on the other. So it wasn't like he was sending a random piece of mail that was just his collateral to people in the couple block radius without any context, right? Yep. Yeah, that's correct, right? Because I think a lot of times people think about their email like that, and they're like, "Well, I got this library email and I sent it to a bunch of people, like zero context, zero hook, zero relevance to the user." And I think as
we get excited about having a database, and we're just going to send anything to the database, right? Which is totally like the worst approach.
Yeah. How do you tease out, like what is the right material to send into that database? Like, so you respect the database.
Segment, tag.
Yeah.
If you know that a specific subset of prospects in your database are looking in a specific community, they're looking for a specific property type, they're looking for whatever, create a segment for it. Like do a search, create a filter, segment it, and then you can pre-tease the listing. Hey, Chris, I have a new listing coming up on 123 Main Street. It's a gorgeous 3-bed, 3-bath, single-story home located in Costa Mesa. If you want the details before, this one's sure to go fast. If you want the details ahead of time, let me know. Maybe you don't give the address, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I would quibble that. Like, maybe we can make it tell a story a little bit more. Bedrooms and bathrooms, like a backyard that's perfect for having chickens, right? Live your agrarian lifestyle.
My chat GPT brain is off right now.
We gotta laugh out of producer Sean.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I ruined your flow.
This is awesome because I just hear Sean laughing.
Segments, tags. Okay, so you're looking for the right people inside your database to send that new listing to, so you can get excited.
I segment my database now. If I don't have like geographic info, but I create segments for lots of things. If I know, because people register for my webinars, they register for live events. I'm sending webinar reminders, last chance to register. Well, I don't want to send that to people that are already registered. But yeah, you got to segment your database. It's going to affect your open rates if you do. Like if you don't, your performance. You're going to see your unsubscribes go up. You're just going to get deflated.
Yeah, and I think that's a maybe back to database health, right? Like because all these things go together, right? You send the right message because you want people to receive that message. Right? You want to cut through the clutter and make something that is going to both be appealing to them and get them to open as well as emotionally resonate with them. But then there's also the technical side of those open rates feed email deliverability, right? And so these things work together, right?
Yep.
And so it's like you segment. So
don't,
I guess
don't dismiss it because they work together.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So maybe to summarize, it's like you need to segment. You need to think a lot about your copy. Maybe it's just those two things. Yeah.
This sounds cheesy, but like, is it helpful? Is it useful? And is it helpful? My lender has 70,000 people in her database. She sends two things that I've noticed regularly: market report for my area and my home equity update. She's doing those things through HomeBot, so it's automated, whatever. Then once a month, she does that monthly webinar, and it's the state of the market. What's happening on the economic calendar that's going to impact mortgage rates? And right now it's a lot.
Something every day.
Something every day.
Yep.
But it's valuable. It's literally what's happening on the economic calendar that's going to impact mortgage rates. Should you lock or float your rate? What do you need to know as a homeowner and potential home buyer?
Right.
That's going to impact you. That's uberly helpful. So the cheesy filter is in terms of what you're sending. Are you sending something because you're checking a box on a marketing piece, or is this actually helpful and useful?
Okay, let's workshop this a little bit because, again, my marketing mind is like, okay, so you're a lender. You and I have had similar like on the consumer side experiences. But I probably don't want to hear from my lender that often, right? Because buying a house is a, once every 15 year, experience, right?
Yeah, correct.
So
Fair.
I would, if I'm the marketing consultant here, I'd probably be asking a question of like, what's the right tempo,
Cadence,
and cadence for those emails, right? Because if I've got a locked rate, and if you're a lender, you probably know that. I don't need to know what's going on in the market.
Yeah, but you should have some sort of follow-up sequence
Yeah.
because I'm trying to elicit referrals from you.
Ah, okay, there we go.
So it's this might not be relevant to you, Chris, because we
Right.
just closed on your house 4 months ago.
Yep.
But what am I doing to deliver a nurture sequence that
Yeah.
inspires you to refer me to your friends?
Does that change what you write?
It should.
Yeah.
It should. You have your standard database. These are all the people in your funnel that converted at some point or
Right.
gave permission
Yeah.
for you to market to them.
Yeah.
And then you have your past clients.
Right.
What are you doing to woo them, finesse them, nurture them, and get more referrals from them?
Let's you and I do a reaction to something that was said on stage at the 1,000-watt.
You'll have to remind me which one.
Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm going to be like, and go. So there was a guy, and we'll put the name in the description because I forget. I think he wrote a book, Attractive Agent, right? And he said, most coaches will tell you to go through your database and put A's next to all the people that you are.
The whole ABC.
Right, exactly. Like that client is an A to you.
Yeah.
Right? And he was arguing you should do the opposite. Like put an A next to the person that thinks of you as an A. Right?
Huh.
Right? So you flip the script. Like they love you. Right? Meaning you're probably going to
super
get
fans.
Right, exactly. And so I heard that and I'm like, okay, I got several follow-on reactions to that. First, that's very interesting, like script flip.
Yeah.
Right? I like it. It's like the people that you need to work on versus the people that are fans. And then you can segment your database and say, like, what do you say to your fans to easily keep them, keep them fans versus what do these other people need to become super fans?
Fascinating. Yeah.
Right?
I never would have thought of it that way. He's effectively describing super fans.
Right.
What-
Or net promoter score, right?
Yeah,
is another way of
okay,
thinking about that, right? Like, okay, I mean, maybe the real estate industry doesn't do this, but in any sort of like SaaS technology or, at hotels, whatever, like you'll see those emails that come out and say like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. Like the question is usually how likely are you to refer us to? Right.
Correct.
1 to 10. And there's a score that comes
Chris is
back.
at 3 with his lender.
yeah, apparently I'm true. But I referred my real estate agent last weekend, right? So, he almost got a deal out of it. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a 10 there. But yeah, it's like, okay, so then how do you think about the people that are on that spectrum, and maybe the people that are like, the cool thing about NPS is it'll be like net promoters versus net detractors, right? And it'll maybe guide you to a way of thinking about what you need to do, right? And there might be some people that are like, they're never going to do business with you. You should just like
move on,
right? Maybe you scrub those people out of your database, right? And then there's your promoters where like not only they're going to do business with you again, they're going to send you more business, right? What does the messaging need to be to them? Right.
It's not just messaging, is experience, how you're crafting your experience.
Yeah.
There's a company that I really liked, and it worked really well in SoCal. Higher end market, obviously, like Newport Beach, those areas. Yeah. The company was called Client Giant.
Okay.
So anytime a property went into escrow, my agents would sign up for Client Giant. So that, are you familiar with Client Giant? What they do is it's like a gifting process for when you go into escrow.
Okay.
And you can choose a couple of different levels. And I'm going to butcher this. It's been a while and it's changed. But what it does is it automates the process and starts to send gifts. Like, hey, Chris, congratulations. We're in escrow on your new house. You can expect to close within the next 30 to 60 days. Yeah. Here's what's going to happen next. 2 weeks later, it takes care of... you get boxes, like moving boxes, shipped to your house, and packing tape. Hey, Chris, wanted to help move things along. Here's some moving boxes, packing tape. We've also taken care of, you can choose one of the following 4 gifts. You can either use use a gardener, have a house cleaning service. I forget what the other 2 are. And then later when you close on the process, it's, hey, Chris, congratulations, we made it through. As a thank you gift, wanted to treat you and the family to a night out for 2. Our car will come pick you up at a restaurant of your choice, blah, blah, blah. The reactions from clients were like, what the hell? Like, you went so far above and beyond. I'll never refer anybody else. Like, I'll refer you to all my friends and family. That was insane. That was ridiculous. What are you doing to create those like moments?
Right.
I don't know what we're calling them, like magic, but those moments of magic.
It's magical moments. Actually, a company that I really like watching for this is Starbucks. And maybe Starbucks back in the day.
Why?
Yeah, I'll explain. I'm glad you asked that,
like,
Ricardo. Yeah, so I mean, anyone that knows me will say, like, I will talk incessantly about my time as a barista in college.
Really?
Yes.
You?
Oh, yes.
No way.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Freshman, sophomore year.
All right. Okay. Look, we got something in common here. High five. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to disturb the mic. Yeah. So, I mean, you think about like what Starbucks would teach, and one, their customer service mentality, I think, was really good back in the day. The way of dealing with angry customers.
Yeah.
But also like looking for those. Oh, it was called surprise and delight, right? There's the surprise and delight moments, right? Where it was a little thing to the company, right? Like absolutely rounding error in the $1 billion of revenue that these companies are generating, but meant something to the client, right? It was like, oh yeah, we thought about you, and we didn't need to do this, but it made you feel special and stand out from like the sea of other people standing there waiting for their lattes.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, and I think that there's Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, wrote a great book called Onward, which was at a moment where Starbucks was struggling. And he really talks a lot about like getting back to the foundations of what the company was originally trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
That third place, the surprise and delight,
the
way that the coffee shop ideally feels from because his idea was to make it feel like an Italian coffee shop.
Yeah.
Right? Producer Sean's laughing again, right? Because I think we all know that it veered way away from that again.
Yeah, not
right?
that at all.
And so, anyway, I highly suggest that everyone read this book because if you've lived through it, you've seen the ups and downs of Starbucks where they were that, they weren't that, they went back to that, and now they're in the, online ordering drink hell.
Yeah.
Right? and it's like, okay, then how do you get back to that, right? And you can use some of those ideas to frame those like surprise and delight moments, or the things that you're looking for that are going to, make your clients be absolutely amazed, right? The client giant thing is interesting because also I think, running a marketing team, I see a lot of like tech sales, type things, and I've seen people that use it poorly. They use it as like a sledgehammer.
Again, it's just the difference is, are you just checking a box and going through the motions? Or are you literally like, how are you leveraging it to make it uniquely you and connect with the client?
Yeah.
Are you making a connection, or are you just checking a box? That's the difference.
So in a world of scaled out online marketing, the challenge is, how do you make that person receiving that email, that newsletter, that whatever, feel special?
Pardon me for a second here, and I'm going to share this because I don't think she'll see it. This episode, and if she does, that's awesome. Hi. I'm doing events for a few folks, like producing events. Mm-hmm. And one of the gals that I worked with for a recent event, she's very young. She's the chief of staff for real estate team and the event host. And I thought this was her first big like production event, 500-person event, 3 days. She did such an amazing job. She didn't cave under pressure. She didn't do a lot of things. She kept. I told her on the last day, I was like, hey, I just want to commend you in case nobody else has told you, but you've been great. You've been so calm, cool, and collected. And what I'm doing is I'm sending her a gift box. In that box, I've selected 3 different books. The note, I'm designing a note card. The design doesn't matter, but here was the message that I wrote for her. And I didn't ChatGPT this one. The title is A Few Things for the Queen of Calm, Cool, and Collected. Hey, Sarah, you're the kind of person who makes everything look effortless, even when we all know that the pace is anything but. Your attention to detail, your ability to stay steady in the chaos, and the way you carry it all with grace, it's rare and it's noticed. I picked these books for you because they're full of intention just like you. Consider this a little thank you, a little fuel, and a little nudge to keep dreaming bigger. The way you work, that's leadership. Here's what I hope you take away from each of these reads. This one's a very good book. It's called The Power of Moments. This will help you think about how to craft more peak moments in all the things that you do, even in the little things. The other one is Making of a Manager, because great leaders aren't born, they're built, and you're already well on your way. And an Essentialism, because you need to protect your time. You'll learn that as you grow, your clarity is going to be your superpower. You've got other tools, just keep using them, and you've got one hell of an awesome leadership team around you. Keep striving, Ricardo. That's why I keep going back to copy. Like, what are you doing to connect with your consumer? What unique experience that you deliver for this home seller or home buyer? My lender, I feel like, does a very good job of telling those stories between the properties she helps her buyers buy. She tells the story of how difficult a deal this was, how they were uniquely able to help this person find their way home. So, I don't know. I think it just comes back down to the power of words.
I think we need to end it right there, right there. So obviously, you and I can continue talking forever, and this will be the first of many. Second of many. Second of many. Ricardo, where can people find you?
At ricardobueno.com, and I'll see you in your inboxes and on our Real Geeks webinars.
All right, everyone. Please hit that like and subscribe button down below. We read all of your comments. So if you have comments, questions, or suggestions for guests that we should interview, like I said, I am really starting to think about how agents differentiate themselves and how people tell the stories using their technology. So I would love introductions to people that are agents, lenders, anyone in the real estate industry that is truly excellent at that. All right.
And if you do stop by and leave a comment, give a shout out to producer Sean.
Yeah, exactly. Producer Sean in the comments. All right, everyone. Catch you later.